Now, meanwhile,
In the future.
in the future, which if you get on a plane, you have to fly into the future
That's right.
to get
Somewhere.
where? Where do we get? Where did the plane land?
I'm.
I thought it was Hong Kong, but it turns out it might be China.
Oh, yeah. It's. Yeah. No.
I mean, it is China.
It's China.
It's China.
Right?
It's China.
Right?
Of course, it's China. Are you implying that it's not China?
I may be not actually all that informed. But.
Pat, this is a complex, evolving issue.
So, I want to go somewhere.
And-
I want to go somewhere else with this.
Okay.
I want to go on a different bit.
Sure.
Okay? Because I had a bit.
I want to hear you just go, monks are cool.
Yeah,
Free
they're-
Tibet.
Yeah, Shaolin monks are cool. But
What?
what I actually think about the future of where that plane will land, that plane's gonna land at BlizzCon because BlizzCon tickets are non-refundable, which means that everybody that was gonna go to BlizzCon is still gonna go to BlizzCon, and BlizzCon this year is gonna be sick. It's gonna be fucking awesome.
Slasher is pretty hyped, and I think he's right. Did you see how the NBA stuff went down recently, where they were handing out T-shirts and signs to people walking in, and a couple people got ejected, but ultimately people were still rocking their shirts.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, at the end of the day, it's my shirt. Fuck you, I'm gonna wear it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
BlizzCon has a motherfucking Q&A period every year.
No, it doesn't.
Wooly.
Not anymore.
Wooly.
Did you see
BlizzCon
that Game of Thrones fucking approach to the
BlizzCon
situation? Anyway,
announces everything of the year on a stage in front of a crowd
all right. Listen.
who are audible.
Okay. All right.
All right, let's break it down. What are we talking about?
We're talking about. You know what we're actually talking about?
What's that?
If you really, really, really want to break it down,
What's that?
we're talking about Tencent
No, we're not.
to a degree.
No, we're not.
Okay, we're not. But we kind of are. In the sense that
How are we talking about Tencent?
because they actually own they own 5%, is it?
Yeah, but that's not controlling.
It's definitely not controlling, far from.
Yeah.
But
Also, Tencent hates the Chinese government. Tencent fucking hates the Chinese government.
okay, I don't know anything about what you're talking about right now because everything I was following with this entire Chinese money and is going to control our ability to let you say what you want.
Yeah.
And even South Park episodes dropping and everything like that, like, has been about the fact that Tencent, the Chinese company that has 5% of that,
It has 48% of Epic.
of
Apparently.
Epic, and a bunch of other hands in major business, has been a huge part of people being concerned about how much China has a grip on what people can or cannot do because it's
reason
part Chinese owned. So I don't know what you're talking about with China and Tencent because that doesn't sound anything
what I'm
like what I've
talking
heard.
about is when Tencent had a bunch of their fucking game business license like fucked over about a year and a half ago.
Okay.
Over a new Chinese classification of games, which cost them a shit zillion dollars.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. Yeah, I don't...
And also, Tencent is a private company. It is not owned by the Chinese government.
It's not Huawei, which is like...
Is Huawei actually owned by the Chinese government?
It is it's not, but there's people that are like huge. There's people that are private that are huge members of the party,
Oh, well,
and it might as well be
yeah.
type of thing,
Yeah, all right. That's weird.
which is when you're catching FBI warnings on buying their phones and shit like that. So
That's bizarre.
I think that it is
All
a
right,
part
I might
of the
be super.
discussion.
I might be super wrong. It's
Pretty
quite
sure
possible.
it is, but
Luckily, earlier on in the podcast, I said that I was not all that well informed.
okay. Well, then you're immune.
Yeah, I'm immune to criticism now.
You poured the shield juice.
pre-Johns.
Yeah. You poured it all over. So, Blizzard
Is owned by Activision Blizzard, which is partially owned by Tencent.
Yes, okay. Activision. You have to say the whole thing.
Yeah, you totally
You
do.
have to, because you have to summon the ghost of Bobby Kotick.
He's alive. He works there. He's still there.
The ghost of Bobby Kotick needs to be present in the room.
Did you see that interview with him where he said...
Was he ever alive?
Did you see the interview with him in which he complained that media coverage of him by game pundits is unfair because when women look up his name when he asks them on a date, they see an article titled "Why is Bobby Kotick the Devil?" and all these photoshops with him with devil horns, and it has significantly impacted his life. That's hilarious.
The spirit of Bobby needs to be in the room every time. So
I invented Moneyball.
So Activision Blizzard basically reacted to a Hearthstone player, Blitzchung,
the winner of their Hearthstone tournament,
who basically put out when he was doing his post-game interview, said "Free Hong Kong."
Put a mask on like the protesters. Said "Free Hong Kong, revolution in our time."
Yes.
While the streamers attempted to die and hide
under the table, hide their faces because they immediately
knew
felt what was about to happen, and it happened anyway. The slingshot reaction from Blizzard was to take away his winnings, to suspend him from the tournament
for a year. Isn't it a year?
No, wasn't it initially permanently?
I didn't hear that, but it's possible, yeah.
I thought he was permanently suspended from the tournament. They took his winnings, and
or rather, just never paid him his winnings, I guess.
They suspended the casters.
Casters are gone.
Right, collateral damage. Everyone gets shot, and they denounced very, very strongly.
How strongly?
It was 1 year. It was 1 year. I was wrong. I'm wrong. It was 1 year.
It's a year.
It was 1 year. Okay.
How strongly did they denounce this?
Very strongly.
What kind of language did they use?
The pride of our nation, national pride must be respected.
So there are two translations of the statement.
And I'm not using the aggressive one. I'm using the more passive of the two.
So I want to point that out. There are two ways you could translate the end of Blizzard's statement. The aggressive, inflammatory one is that
we will protect the pride of China.
Protect the pride of Chinese nationalism at all costs. And then the second one is that we will respect national dignity as we always have, or something like that. Plague pointed out something really funny in that when they put out that statement, it was labeled as October 12th, despite it being October 11th. In the Eastern time zone and the Western time zone. It was only October 12th in China when that statement went out.
Oh, yeah, duh. It's a Chinese language statement. It's a different statement.
Yeah, I know.
You don't have to fucking...
No, I'm talking about the English one they put out
later. Oh, the English one came out on the 12th.
The one that's complete nonsense. The one that's...
It's a different one entirely.
Yeah, you're talking about the Hearthstone account?
Yeah.
I'm talking about the statement Blizzard put out a few days later. That's like, listen, we believe every voice matters except for this one.
Oh, we're not even at the happy horse shit
because that
yet.
one's fucking...
Okay, so step one is they do this, right?
Everybody die.
The
streamers? The streamers is so insane, they don't say a word. They don't say anything.
Because that's what fear looks like, dude.
Oh my god.
So, follow that up with a Hearthstone collegiate tournament where... one of the winning teams
They're like, oh, we're about to lose.
Puts up the sign. They cut away.
They cut away after the end, before the match is over.
And we continue with this entire thing, which is continuing the NBA narrative, what they have with the Houston Rockets problem of like having someone say support Hong Kong and whatnot. And then we do a bit more digging, and then there's actually a giant collection. There was a huge list I read of like, here's the shit that major companies and a lot of tech companies, in fact, have been involved with in terms of like China bullying people into
removing skeletons,
like their way of no, not the removing skeletons.
Yeah, I know.
That's
just fun.
Into removing flags from the list of emojis.
Yeah,
and
removing the ability to select certain countries,
changing clothing on certain website, like the level of slow pettiness that's been
China's very sensitive.
Active, very very much so, to the point where and it's interesting watching the juggling act because you're kind of seeing effectively someone describing that like this is it's very sensitive, and a lot of people have feelings about this policy that and things that are going on.
This regional dispute.
The regional dispute, so to speak. And it's like, so we need to keep everyone's feelings in mind.
Especially since there's a billion of them.
Especially not the people that are in the place who are describing what their feelings are. Think of, it's a donut, right? Make sure that you care about the donut's feelings, but not the center.
Yeah.
Where the Timbit goes.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't matter. So anyway, after probably the worst PR nightmare they've ever had.
I would before we continue, I want to say that there's a rule in the Blizzard provisions for that tournament that is being used as justification for these acts. It says if you conduct yourself unbecoming of Blizzard or make Blizzard look bad or make the tournament look bad, it is written so vague as to be nonsense. They could use it for anything.
Of course.
And they're like, "Well, see,
which is smart on their part.
He made the tournament look bad by rabble rousing."
He was a roustabout.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and everyone goes, "That's bullshit." No,
right. So this is already in the news because of again the NBA, and also because South Park had banned in China. I don't know if you saw it, but that was
the episode that was then subsequently banned in China.
Of course, because that was basically them nuking themselves, going like, "Yeah, we know. Here's how we handle this. This sucks, right?"
They don't give a fuck.
Yeah, so I remember when I talked about how Black Panther did really poorly in China.
What?
And
really?
And not too long ago, I also talked about how the edited version of the Force Awakens poster.
Yeah.
In which somebody's very, very dark face is nowhere to be seen.
That's right.
And about how like it was like, oh, these changes are made for audiences and it's super fucked up, but that's just a regular thing to try and capitalize on a huge movie-going audience and whatnot.
In one of the Iron Man movies, there's an extra scene in the Chinese theatrical cut that is Chinese doctors repairing Tony's heart.
Exactly, and in
which is pretty innocuous,
and
honestly.
And the entirety of Pacific Rim 2. So, we've been talking a little bit about that, and it's like, this is a notable thing where like the pandering is very clear.
Pandering is money.
The pandering is fucking oof. If not a yikes for me, bro.
It's because the pandering exists because unlike almost anything else where you go, oh, nobody's going to boycott this, the government can make people boycott things.
Yes. But like what I wasn't seeing was the overall slow narrative in a lot of these other things besides the movies, right?
Yeah.
So all that to say that boy does Activision Blizzard get a fucking trouncing from everyone going, are you out of your goddamn mind? What the fuck is wrong with you? Right?
I'm of the belief that if they suspended him but allowed him to keep the winnings, this would be a minor blip because they would say, don't bring politics into the show, blah, 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 blah. But it was the moment that they took, he's the winner of the tournament. He's the winner of the tournament.
Yeah.
If he was top 8 or top 32, this wouldn't be any bigger either.
That's
but he was the winner.
That's interesting. And like I can. It's the difference between the perspective of, hey, don't do that.
Yeah.
Right. Like literally,
somebody comes to you and goes, hey, dude, fuck off. Come on.
Right.
Right.
And how dare you?
Stomp.
And
crush.
And the people in charge or have vested interests on the opposite side.
Yeah.
As opposed to being completely impartial.
Yeah.
So the idea that we were completely impartial in our decision on current affairs
has nothing to do with it.
Is beyond laughable in this entire nonsense statement that they put out at 5:30 p.m. on Friday.
The statement that they put out, because Blizzard has a little mural that says all voices matter outside of their campus,
which a bunch of Blizzard employees then left to protest.
Yeah.
They did a walkout to
and they can't get it uncovered because somebody covers it up every day. But also they put out a statement. I'm not going to bother quoting anything from it. It is legitimately nonsensical and impossible to follow. There's no part of it that leads from one point to another. They talk about how much they value
It's-
individual viewpoints,
it's-
while simultaneously saying that none of those viewpoints can be expressed.
It's the definition of doublespeak.
It is absolute nonsense.
It's the definition of doublespeak. So
They would have been better off literally saying nothing.
right, because like and in the, for those who keep track, the second paragraph is where the term core values are actively used, by the way. So someone wasn't paying attention.
They also don't apologize. They say that the only thing approaching an apology is we may have moved too hastily and not examined the situation well enough.
Well, here's what's important. If you don't want to go into it, that's fine. I'm going to touch a little bit.
Oh, I'm just saying I'm not going to quote it
Yeah.
because it's fucking nonsense.
Well, I'm going to quote it because
right.
it's important to point out here that think globally, lead responsibly, and
my God.
every voice matters. In all caps, by the way.
All caps.
So those are not actual, like, rules you're going to apply.
Those are mantras.
Those are not. They're not. But are they really? Because you might as well add a trademark after each one in all caps.
Right.
Because capital E every, capital V voice, capital M matters is the slogan you can print on the thing outside. And because you put it there, it doesn't mean you actually have to apply this.
But it does mean people will expect you to.
And it sounds good when you say it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, look. So when it comes down to it, they have to now own up to the fact that the thing you say is not at all what you are
Laughably
doing,
hypocritical.
because you are very clearly just going, we want Chinese money, and it's important to not piss them off.
And
that's a new market. It's our fastest growing market.
Yeah, it's everyone's fastest growing.
Because I believe the background behind that was a lot of people were lifted out of poverty in China recently and now have spending money.
Yeah, the entire country of China is essentially nouveau riche.
So it's crazy how much the bottom line matters to everyone trying to get some of that.
Yeah.
And the idea of upsetting them in any way, shape, or form is the loss of giant money. So now you simply have to allow, like, an entire country to bully you into not saying, like, speaking your mind on social issues or political issues based on the fact that they're threatening to not spend money.
I want to macro out just a little bit, just to get a little bit behind, because normally whenever people talk about politics in games, the discussion is laughable and hilarious. It's usually Ubisoft making a game about the American Civil War in modern times in Washington, and you're traipsing through the fucking White House, and they're going, "Oh, it has nothing to do with politics," and you're like, "Are you for real, motherfucker?" Right? But usually it's not about, competitors' politics or whatever. Blizzard would say there's no place for regional politics in our games, and they don't take a stance on it. But by shutting this person down, they are taking a stance. Because I'm sure that there's a lot of Chinese competitors that were at that show that wore flags or, wore a shirt or whatever. Deciding what to shut down is more important than what the company even says.
There's a team that was called, I think it was like the Hong Kong Ultimate or the Hong Kong Ultra.
Yeah.
And they just had...
They have an Overwatch team, right?
They were not allowed to say the full name.
Yeah.
They had to just say the HKU.
Yeah, that was a
Right.
decision that was made.
Yeah.
You are saying something by not saying something.
Now, the double speak here is by saying we appreciate these values and we celebrate them and we celebrate the inclusivity, and that means that we have to think about other people's opinions who might not like this inclusivity, which means we need to respect those other people's opinions. And it's like, wait, hold on. How did you just get from freedom to not saying what you think the same sentence?
So my favorite part about this is something that you touched on, which is posters and such in which people are somewhat absent. Let's change the situation to really show off just how fucked Blizzard is in this situation. Let's assume, Woolie, that you play Hearthstone. And you get really good at Hearthstone. And you go out there to the Pacific tournament, and you won that goddamn Hearthstone tournament. And they go to interview you, and your appearance as a winner, etc., is offensive to the national values. Do they do the same thing? What do they say? What if you were Sonic Fox and you were openly gay as well? right?
Have you seen him recently in tournament? He's wearing a trans flag as a cape.
Yeah. Let's fuck it. Let's not use it. Sonic Fox. What if Sonic Fox got really good at Hearthstone?
Yeah.
His physical appearance and way that he carries himself and everything about his lifestyle,
His existence,
is overtly political.
Yeah.
And an antithesis to many traditionally conservative values, particularly in China. Does that mean him literally being on screen at all is unfair to, like...
Hey, man, I don't know if you're familiar with the pornography, but there's a little thing called a mosaic blur that you can drop on a screen at any time.
I would, that would be the funniest thing that had ever happened.
You
ever.
just, what is that? Don't worry about it.
The funniest thing to ever
Don't
happen.
worry about it. Who is that? That's the Pixel Man. Leave it alone.
So it's like
Just fucking...
Blizzard's going to say a lot of things over the next, I'm going to say, couple of years about how it has nothing to do with whatever. No one believes them because it's so obvious. That hammer came down harder than people who fucking beat their wives and kill people.
If you want to actually look to like examples of similar things, there have been tournaments where they show like last Evo, there was a highlight reel showing all the people that won all the tournaments that were played, except for one of them, because one of the tournaments was won by someone who they did not want to have on camera. So the cutting around things is absolutely a possibility, way of handling the situation. So Blizzard has been like after radio silence for I don't know how many days it was.
Because what are they supposed to say? No one's going to believe anything.
No one's going to believe anything.
No
So
one.
then they come out with the most nonsense statement.
And now everyone's just like extra outraged.
We're giving him back his money. He's no longer suspended for a year.
Are they in fact giving him back his money?
They're giving him back his money, and he's suspended for 6 months along with the casters. And their punishment is based on their job is to keep things focused on the tournament and the game.
So instead of hiding, they should have been like, "Hey, dude, shut up."
You need to bring things back to the game, right? And they didn't do that, and that's their punishment. So that's
what? If this was the initial decision, we probably would have talked about this for 1 or 2 minutes. But it doesn't matter. You can't undo it.
Because it's the version of it where it's like, Blizzard, that China stuff.
I bet that tournament had some kind of national backing, and China didn't want a single one of their dimes going to this guy, and now Blizzard's paying them out of pocket or some shit, right? Just to make this go away. Like a $500,000 make this news story go away. But it's not gonna.
So what's very interesting is when you think about this, again, zooming out, right, on a level that is like the global stage, so to speak. We're a bunch of dumbasses. We play video games and don't know too much about fucking politics. That much is
I also
real.
live in Canada. That's far away.
Yeah, we're French Canadian, dude. But like, I do have to wonder, like, you kind of look at it and you go, how or in what way would you ever get like people in a country that, or in a I should say a continent that is all about individuality and freedom of expression, how do you get those people to completely stomp on that and not give a fuck about those things?
Blizzard is dramatically harmed PR-wise because their audience is primarily members of the United States of America.
So what's the next best thing? Well, you can, through business and through capitalism, you can actually
money away the problem.
You can money the problem away to the people with the power to make the decisions, despite the fact that everyone they're broadcasting to completely and utterly disagrees with them.
Yeah.
But you can money the problem onto being in your side, and it's like, oh, that's how China is going to do it. Like, you just...
So here's the thing.
You get in and you become undeniable.
I don't think that this is going to go away. I think they changed that because... Do you know when BlizzCon is, dude? What the date is? For BlizzCon every year?
When is it?
It's November 1st. It is in 2 weeks. The only reason they gave that guy his money back that he has rightly deserved is because BlizzCon is in 2 fucking weeks, in which they are going to all be out in front of thousands of people who are planning to ruin that fucking show.
I am very excited to see the new May cosplay.
I am. I don't. It's one of the only like overtly political things I've ever retweeted. But that May concept art people are throwing around is pretty fucking hilarious.
There is going to be so much May cosplay at BlizzCon.
Oh man!
Can't wait. Can't wait.
Oh man!
Yeah.
And if there's no Q&A, boy, is there gonna be a shit show.
Yeah.
Cause it'll be like, oh man.
Also, I heard that. What was it that like? Was it Epic that came out and said, "Hey guys, say what you want. We don't care." Or
I don't remember.
Something along those lines, or it was one of the like some. I think it was them or someone else came out and just kind of was like, "Yeah, we don't give a fuck about what you say. Go nuts." And League of Legends had a statement going like, "Now, guys, things are going on. Let's all try to keep stuff focused on the game and whatever." And it's just all these other companies like preemptively either doing these reactionary things for brownie points or trying to like head it off at the pass.
Oh yeah, it's hilarious. Like, hey, I'll be really clear. I don't think it was actually particularly appropriate of the guy to start making a big political statement on the fucking video game stream myself, personally. But stomping him out? Come on, man. Get the fuck out of here. What are you just gonna stomp him? You gonna rob him?
Listen, dude.
What are you doing? Tons of people say all sorts of stupid shit when they get up on the podium. Like the fucking racetrack or whatever. Like,
yeah, and like a lot of people had I hear that, but I'm very, very aware of the fact that a lot of people had a lot of questions when some guy that won first place in an Olympic event and a third place guy in an Olympic event put a fucking glove on and held their fists up.
yeah.
And it was in front of the world at the Olympics.
Yeah.
And a lot of people went, "What's that about?"
Yeah, what is that? I
And
really don't know.
they
what
wouldn't
that
have
is.
questioned what that was about if it didn't happen on the podium at the Olympics.
Yeah,
So,
I agree.
You know what I mean?
I simultaneously agreed both with myself, obviously, but also that point.
Never forget that shit mattered in that context.
It is a place in which I am not involved in this problem, so my perspective is not tainted, but it's different, right? But like, you know what my favorite part is? My favorite part is that people have noticed that Overwatch is not just a vehicle for pornography. It is also a vehicle for Blizzard PR. Did Blizzard do it bad? Get ready. Somebody in the Overwatch cast is going to come out as gay or neuroatypical.
Oh, you think that's...
Because it shows off how inclusive they are. They absolutely use those characters to gain brownie points when they're in trouble. And the meme of like, wonder what Overwatch character's gonna come out of the closet this week. I bet that was on the table until that became a meme.
You just reminded me of something I wanted to bring up and I forgot in the middle of talking about this. The part of this that I think, no matter where this goes, no matter whether or not we're talking about this in a couple months or not, the nature of Hong Kong means we're probably gonna. Because this is all...
That seems like it'll be ongoing.
Yeah, and this is not going to blow over, right?
Yeah, that's... Oh, can you imagine the guy over at Blizzard just wait a couple months and it'll blow over, and the dude's like, "What are you talking about? This is not going to blow over."
China's anger at all of this and the trying to money the situation is going to continue.
Yeah.
It's going to be a thing. There's a thing that happens nowadays, and it's almost tied to the cute corporate brand accounts having in these fun interactions and stuff, where effectively, like, if you can put yourself as a corporate entity,
As if they were a person.
if you can personalize them and make that corporate entity like an ally to your cause, then you can definitely get people to feel good about your brand.
Yeah.
And that's wonderful in the short term. But then you do things like this.
And being spurned creates way more hatred than being denied.
And the ability or the thought almost that like the company is going to then sort of have to please all sides
Yeah.
in a situation like this is like, it becomes hilarious because it's like you're exposing how full of shit you were from the beginning.
Well, it's always
that you're pretending to be like
righteous
and righteous in this situation, pretending to care about the cause, pretending that these values matter, and that it's not just something that you're trying to use
PR.
to. It is, but it's so important that like you understand that it's PR, because it's very easy to think that it's not.
So I have two things to bring up about that. Sorry, three things. One, there's a joke in A Hat in Time where you find a book in Hat Girl's room, which is titled Ethical Consumption in Capitalism and Other Fairy Tales, which I think is hilarious and is the funniest thing in that thing. Number two is the ESA leaked memos about E3, talking about how what they really should do, and they're trying to advertise this to developers, is we should have spaces that glorify the positive impact that games have in the social sphere, so that they can be cashed in as dividends against future wrongdoing. And it's written right, and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
But
we build up brownie points so that we can spend it against goodwill later.
Like, everybody knows that's what it is, but seeing it written down like that just makes your stomach turn, right? But number three, my all-time favorite, and I will give a shout out to my pal Fuggins for pointing this out to me, because I don't follow wrestling Twitter, right? He doesn't either, but he'll dabble occasionally. You know about the WWE gives a lot to charity and has a lot of charitable stuff?
Okay.
Did you know that everyone stopped caring about that a couple of years ago? Like, everybody, like, WWE is like, we do this for charity, and everybody's like, good for you. And then all of a sudden one day everyone was like, fuck off, WWE. You have any idea what that is?
No.
Stephanie McMahon went on Twitter and retweeted an article about a business article about how to use charity to get the public on your side. And then went and said, "See, this is good future business making, that you can use charities to really win people over." And everyone went. The first reply and the number one is, "Why would you tweet this?"
Yeah, that's amazing.
And all of a sudden,
that's amazing.
All of a sudden, nothing WWE ever does of good ever again will they ever get any credit.
So here's the fucked up part, is that there's always going to be the genuine version of this where there is somebody who is either in charge of something or running a company or making
in charge of the part of the company that deals with the
but there's always going to be someone that will be there that genuinely is like, oh shit, we can do something cool here, or I can represent something, or you know what I mean, I can like I just described with the Olympics, I can treat this podium as that moment. You can do that where the person genuinely believes what they're saying and they're actually like following through on this, right? What happens is that when that occurs and is successful, there will be an analyst that comes along and crunches that entire scenario into what you just described and hands that out to other companies to basically go like, guys, we don't need to spend any money. We can just start posting things and build up goodwill.
Yeah.
And it becomes a consumable strategy that you apply to your entire infrastructure to then, again, like when you fuck up later down the line, but you built up all this goodwill. You know, and
listen, I know the Wendy's Twitter account is really funny, but Wendy is not your friend,
right? So that's the part of this that, like, when you really break it down, is that is what you need to be aware of and concerned about it, is that, like, it's not to say that any time a company of some kind or someone involved with some product or whatever is saying something or making a statement, that's going to be automatically a lie. It's that we're now in an age where these huge state companies like Blizzard are going to come out and spout some bullshit like every voice matters, think globally, lead responsibly. But then when push comes to shove, it's utter nonsense.
Yeah, because the only reason they do anything nice is because an analyst comes in and says, hey, did you know if you guys give like $1 million to like cancer research or some shit, people tend to buy a bunch of games? It's crazy. Makes you look good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really overtly find it distasteful the way they have treated the Overwatch gang and like sexual orientation as fucking cash-in chips. I find it to be offensive. It's awful.
It's not always that. Sometimes it is.
Don't believe that it's not.
It's not always that, but when it is, it's not great.
With Tracer, I'll believe that was actually planned. With anybody else, I don't believe that for a second.
It's really
Symmetra being on the spectrum as well. I'm like, that came out of nowhere. That was
you're talking about like 76.
Yeah. 76 was like timed.
I think that there's a term that was used in like movies called like gay baiting, where they basically would have like two characters implied to maybe have
but
a
just
sort of
deniable enough.
But just deniable enough that it's not there instead
they're
of being,
cousins.
Yeah, right. But not. Yeah, but there's enough. It's implied, but there's enough distance so that you don't actually upset anybody who might get mad about that. Yeah. And it's like, that's one of those things where I didn't even catch that was a thing until it's like, oh fuck, you're super right. There's a lot of instances of that where it's just like, hey man, you can be happy about this result, but like if you're someone that doesn't want to see it, you can pretend it's not there.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah. Like this is not going away.
This is not going to go away by BlizzCon. If they don't have first of all, if they have Q&A, they will try and filter those questions. The questions will then all go sideways because no one's going to ask the filtered question, right? If they don't do that and attempt to have Q&A by pre-selected questions, everyone's just going to scream over them. If they don't have Q&A at all, everyone's going to start going nuts when they realize that Q&A isn't going to happen. There are going to be cosplays up and down. There are going to be more Winnie the Pooh cosplayers at Blizzard this year than at any furry con of all time.
Winnie the Pooh is very important. Very important to the story. The funniest part about Winnie the Pooh is, this might be wrong, but what I understood from the censorship of Winnie the Pooh was that the people using it were not doing it in a derogatory manner. It was almost like a fun, amicable comparison.
Well, it wasn't taken that way.
Yeah, but it just was. But even that was.
Wait? Who's Winnie the Pooh? Do you mean Void of Light, who is friends with Christopher Robin in Kingdom Hearts 3?
That's correct. that's the. Fuck, man. Money is how you do it.
So
how do you take it over? How do you make people?
Well, of course. Well, it's always been money.
It's always been money.
Money is just power made into a piece of paper.
But I guess you what you wouldn't think is that the people beholden to that money would not be so stupid as to think they could get everybody on their side with this one.
That is a very famous logic trap, and that is, if you have lots of money, you must be smart. People who have money are often just as dumb as you or I, and in some cases, dumber. Because money makes life easy, so they don't gotta struggle.
Yeah, but we're talking about a corporation.
We are.
As opposed to a person.
But corporations are people.
They are.
People can be dumb.
They have rights.
Apparently. But... No, but listen, the people who run any particular company are all fucking filthy, stinking rich and are so disassociated with what life is that, they make stupid fuck mistakes all the time.
You have to wonder if they had a discussion going, what if we just said nothing? what's the cost of saying nothing versus putting out complete diarrhea as a statement?
I don't know, but it got really bad. Did you see what they did to their authentication stuff in the wake of this?
Yeah.
They disabled your ability to delete your account.
Yeah. Yeah, I did see that.
Which, if they're going to go to the system level, that means a lot of people were deleting their accounts.
Well, in any case, as we saw, like League of Legends already worried about it. Everyone else is shuddering up, but like take heed that
there is a fucking support ticket going around of a guy who all the delete options were disabled and all the two-factor was disabled, and the guy really wanted to delete an account, so he put out a fucking support ticket. It's like, listen, I'm gonna delete this account, so you can either let me delete it, or I'm gonna log into WoW and StarCraft in every game that I own and just start dropping N-bombs everywhere until you do it for me.
Suicide by cop.
Yeah. It's like, this account's gonna go away
whether you do it or I do it.
So just save us some time and delete the account.
That's hilarious. Some people are saying that was fake. Some people are saying it wasn't fake.
I don't care if it's fake or not.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
So,
even if it is 100% fake, that is a legitimate. Well, no, that's not a legit. That is a
situation to use the N-word in.
Listen.
Go ahead.
Listen.
Go ahead in protest. For the right cause.
I'm saying that is a way to get your account killed.
Oh, okay, all right. Just flame on, you know?
You know, really, in that particular instance, it would actually be really woke to start dropping the N-bomb everywhere.
I care so much about no longer using this platform, and you won't let me leave, so I have no choice.
There's no other option available to me.
Avenue.
I have to say it. It's for the greater good.
Server to server. Everywhere. All the time. Yep.
It's the only way.
Racism to save society.
Yeah.
For the good of everyone. I dig it. I understand. All right, look.
It reminds me of this is a real old trick. You remember back when you couldn't change your PlayStation name?
Yeah.
You know what the trick to change it was?
Yeah.
You would have your friends report it as racist.
Wow.
And PSN would force a name change
automatically.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a real trick. If enough reports come in, and it's like, Cool Man 420, this doesn't seem racist, and you write enough reports in that say this is a term that is new or whatever, PSN would force the change, and you could get it changed. It's like, oh, you can let people change their PSN names, huh?
The only way to defend freedom is with slurs.
It's the only way. What are you gonna do? Not?